think I'll have myself a cup of tea. So, in a month or so, I'll be a year into this thing, and what I've been trying to do, I've been trying to tell my story, and that kind of, I feel like Al Gore in Inconvenient Truth. He says, I've been trying to tell this story and I feel like I failed. And I don't know, that I like that movie. I enjoyed it. A friend of mine worked on it, did post-production on it, and here's a guy who had something he believed in and something to say, who was that close to the nuclear button at one time, who was pretty much quickly, just shows how fickle things are and how quickly people move on. He was quickly forgotten and traveling alone, carrying his own luggage without security around the world, trying to make this case for global warming. And by the way, he's absolutely correct. It's a shame that that's turned into a political issue. The people that it's going to end up costing money to do the right thing don't want to pay for it, so they, it's always that way. But with me, my dad, another time my dad and I were sitting, I didn't know, I grew up with my dad, but it was we never got along, and he never acknowledged me or anything about me in any way, and the great outdoors. The great outdoors, man. Yeah. But when I was like 40, I think 42, I went to kind of meet my dad as an adult and talk to him a little bit, and we were sitting in the barn. He had bought himself a farm to retire on, trying to go back home, and he had become a different guy from the time when he lived there as a rancher growing up. He was now a city guy, and he was trying to go back home, but what got me about the conversation, he'd had a woman die that he was with, and she committed suicide, actually, and he had made a headstone for her and put it, he said everybody ought to have a marker, and he had put that headstone out in front of the barn there. And I go, man, that looks like a grave, Dad. And he goes, yeah, I built Jackie, that was her name, I built her a headstone. I made her a headstone. He carved it out himself, and he said, son, people like you and I, people like me and you, you and I, whatever he said, we're going to live and die unnoticed because there's nothing really remarkable about us. And, there's just so much in that kind of thing. And I at that moment, I realized, oh, man, that's you, Dad. That's not me, A. And, B, I just realized you never knew me at all. You never acknowledged me at all. I was right under your nose. You never noticed me, never encouraged me, whatever. But more than anything, you just don't know me at all. And I think that's the essence of what love is. We're all just trying to get people to acknowledge what's special about us. And everybody has special stuff about them, And, with the songs and stuff that I'm doing, I started, with me, I had a successful business. I feel like I failed telling this story, and then there's another part to telling a story. You have to have people to listen to it, and you have to put it in front of people who are willing to listen. So there's a lot more than just making music and putting it out there on YouTube. You could put music out there. You could single-handedly play every instrument in a Philharmonic yourself and record it and produce it meticulously. Nobody would pay any attention to it. That's just the nature of the game. What is that? walking the dog. But fucking yapping nut. I hate a yapping dog like that. Execute him! Shoot him! I like dogs, but you know, dog discipline is lax with some people. But yeah, you know, those couple of moments, you know, just moments in your life, and we're all sort of trying to back up our special moments with partially on YouTube, partially in real life. You know, I mean, so it's but like I said, you could single-handedly on YouTube or anywhere, unless you put it in front of the right people. You know, doing something amazing is one thing, but then presenting it to people those are two separate issues, two separate items. So yeah, you know, I mean, I have been putting together really, I don't even know where to start, you know. I mean, I grew up as a cowboy, and I didn't realize that I was a cowboy till some years later, by the way. I was sort of surprised to figure that out, you know. But what do you call a guy who grows up on a ranch working cattle, you know? So I left the ranch and I went all alone with no support from anyone, broke, newly divorced as a young man, a young father, and alone in the world, you know. My family was mad at me for having a kid and taking up with a pretty much just no good woman early, you know. I wouldn't listen, and I was sort of disinherited or something, I don't know. And anyway, I went to LA alone, and on the way there, I had been like living in my car for weeks, you know, months really, and on the way there, that is starting to fucking piss me off. I parked in the desert and at a rest stop in Arizona, and on the way back from Los Angeles, actually, to try to get back with my wife one more time, and unsuccessfully. And I realized when I parked there, I hadn't told anybody where I was going, what I was doing. I went completely alone in a '66 Dodge Coronet, and I used to say in LA, I live on 66 Dodge Street, you know, and I parked in Arizona at a rest stop one night. I was just exhausted and I couldn't drive anymore, all alone, you know. My car packed, an old car packed to the ceiling with stuff, everything I own, guitars, amps, mixers, and when I woke up, there was snow as far as I could see in the desert. I didn't realize, I always thought the desert was hot. It snowed in the desert. It was, I don't remember, it must have been in northern Arizona, you know, near Flagstaff or Phoenix up there. I came through there recently, and it was really cold again. New Mexico, Arizona, northern part. But I realized nobody knows where I am, and even maybe worse or just really interesting, I don't think anybody cares. It was a beautiful time. I looked out at that, but also I was so devastated by the loss of my wife and child, you know, breaking up with her, and she left. I mean, I would have stayed forever, but anyway, it hurt. And and she didn't, nobody knew where I was. She had already taken up with another guy or whatever, and with, I was looking out across that desert, and I was just like, I realized nobody knows where I am, and I don't think anybody cares. I really don't. And I've led my life that way alone for a lot of different reasons. I like to be left alone mostly. I find most people to be have agendas and plans of their own that don't fit mine. It's not about, and not everything is about my life, but I've had some pretty strong ideas, and everybody has their own path. But it also was an exciting time because I realized nobody knows where I am, nobody cares. I can start again. I made a huge mistake being, having a kid and being married with this woman, and when I was in my, 20 years old, in my late teens. It was just stupid. I made a stupid early mistake, as everybody does, and I thought, but this is exciting because I can redefine everything and start over. And I did. And in Los Angeles, I went to tech school and college and got some degrees and education, some pretty impressive stuff, and I've actually taught at the university level at some fine universities. And I started a recording studio. I got an education in recording arts and sciences and computer science, and about the time computers took over recording, I was really set up to, and I started a studio, and I started a studio to record my own music, and that's the only reason. I had no dream of being an engineer or producer, but in order to make your music sound as good as everyone else, you have to as big as you dream it, as big as you dream it, you have to know those things. I think everybody who is a musician nowadays should also start studying engineering and production, because that's the way you present your ideas to the world. Otherwise, they'll just seem like small little ideas, and you'll have to depend on other people to present those ideas properly. So I started a recording studio. Things went great. I mean, the money was incredible. You're talking thousands and thousands of dollars a day. I've had $30,000 days, and not every day, but some days. And in 1996, I was diagnosed with a terrible disorder that results in 9 out of 10 people committing suicide. It's called trigeminal neuralgia. And it was in 96. I managed to keep working until 2007, 11 years later, like 2007, 2008. But, running my studio, producing other people, working for major labels, developing artists, having all kinds of, huge world famous rock stars and people come through my studio. So I also, all that time too, there's kind of a feeling when you live that kind of a life. I mean, I led a life where I might be sitting next to, and I have, might be sitting next to Elton John for 2 or 3 weeks, or who knows? I mean, Motley Crue, people I ran into in the business, hundreds of them. I mean, I couldn't even, Ozzy Osbourne, hundreds of people. The biggest U2, huge artists, and there's a feeling of like, I didn't take any pictures because, first of all, when you're the only guy around without a camera trying to poke his head into a picture and snap it, that makes a statement like, this guy can be trusted. So I got to know people well, as friends. Not anybody I just mentioned, I don't think, but I don't remember that much. But about it, tell you the truth, one day bleeds like any other business, like a factory. But my point there was, you kind of, your ego and your arrogance, or just kind of the way things have been going and the way they've gone for years, and they did, you sort of think, well, there's no need to document any of this because this will be going on the rest of my life. This is my job. This is my business. And, over a 10-year period, too, with trigeminal neuralgia, I began to rotate in and out. I was put on prescription narcotics. And I began to, over a 10-year period, I would rotate in and out of rehabs, and all rehabs are also psychiatric facilities nowadays. They're dual diagnosis. So, I began to rotate in and out of psych facilities. At first, I still had a lot of money and things were fine. I could pay cash for rehab or what, no problem, And then as things got worse, I began to give things up. Not really lose them, but I realized I can't go on anymore like this. I'm in so much pain. I had a couple years at a time where I didn't get out of bed because of pain and depression. And then the next thing you know, I spent in and out of hospitals and psych facilities for about a decade. And and then it got like scary, sad. It's like I hadn't kept in touch with anybody, any of my family. They didn't know me when I was successful, and I was ashamed to have them know that I was rotating in and out of these psychiatric facilities and rehabs, with horrible illness. It's still very difficult for me to take care of myself. That's one thing I think a lot of people miss. It's like, oh, he's okay. No, I'm nowhere near okay. It's a stunning miracle I've been able to do what I'm doing with the music and stuff. It's an amazing thing, and but getting people to understand that, like, and really all this isn't about me as much. I realize how quick, other people are willing to accept any compromise for you in your life and forget all about you. Kind of like Al Gore. He was vice president of the world, basically just said, so what? Doesn't mean anything to us. You're now nothing, And that happens so quick. And when you're sick in life, when you have an illness, a long-term illness, it's typical. At first I thought, well, certainly this is this is a valid reason. I don't have excuses, never had. There are reasons for things. A couple times in my life somebody said, well, that's just an excuse. It's like, no, you're just showing how fucking ignorant you are. You don't understand. Doctors don't even understand this. So it's frustrating and angering and maddening, annoying. And I don't make excuses, this is just the way it is. That's just the way life works. Sometimes things are not great, But I was astounded at how quick other people, and still, nobody's come along and said, Eric, you're in a terrible position. Let me give you some money and help you get into a place and get you out of that filthy RV and get you back into the world. Nobody will, and nobody is, and nobody will. Nobody cares. They can't, and that's okay. But I just wanted to sort of call attention. They're busy leading their own lives. That's acceptable. But we have this romanticized idea that when you fall ill, people are going to rally around you. It does not work that way. It just doesn't. People begin to despise you, in fact. And so I found myself sick, alone, addicted, despised, really. Nobody's persecuting me or anything. That's just the way life works. And I accepted that. But I also thought, well, I can do music. And I realized, well, music's been my best friend all along. It's, and as I had cancer among all this, among other issues, and a brain injury due to cancer treatment, I found myself laying in a bed at my mom's house, completely broke, dejected, thrown away by society. And even my mom was making noises like I should, she didn't, I don't know if she didn't understand or didn't care or both, but, and shouldn't care maybe, I don't know. It's at some point people have to let lead their own lives no matter what you're doing around them, and find a rest home for you. And that's really what she was wanting to do, is find some kind of home for me. And probably good, good common sense thinking, but then actually having anyone with the experience and the knowledge and education to follow through on that, to do anything other than threaten you with that or mention it, that would have been wonderful. I would have been all for that. But she would only threaten it and never follow through, and that it doesn't even hurt after a while when people throw you away. You just accept, I'm a drag on everyone, and it's a drag for me to be around them, and plus I don't want to hear the negativity. So it's like, instead of saying you're sick, do what you have to do just to survive, they don't understand. And anyway, the bottom line was, I found myself going, man, I did all of these epic things in my life, and nobody knows this story, and I actually, was falsely thrown in jail, nearly beaten to death by the Los Angeles County Police, and completely innocent, and just these crazy things happen. A guy like me, so really this whole story is really about what happens when you fall ill, and what can happen, and what does happen, the realities of it, and just that, the realities of what it is, and fighting back. So I've been doing all this stuff completely alone, playing all the instruments, doing all the recording, programming, design, producing, to make this happen, and it's an impressive body of work. I'm not going to mince words. It's a stunning and epic body of work. I can't believe it, and I keep growing and growing, and I still have to lay down all the time, constantly, about it, every couple of hours, take 15 minutes and lay down and deep breathe. The pain is incredible right now, but it doesn't get better. You just get sort of that is your station in life. Well, life is not fair. That's another one of the little morals of the story. And when you lose your health, you lose the ability to fight. The world kind of tries to cover you with dirt every day, put a shovel on your grave, well, this is upbeat. And when you're sick, you can't take your own shovel and shovel it off of you, and it covers you over. And that's, so my story is really, it's a triumphant fight of one guy who at least wanted his story to be told, and other people to enjoy the music that goes with it. And and the music business, I never pursued. It was so ugly in promoting yourself, and the marketing side's so ugly, and people are so willing to tell you, that they're just so willing to torpedo you on so many levels, just because I think it's hurt. It's not even that hurt. It's just I didn't want to deal with it. I became a successful record label executive for a while, and producer and engineer, and like I said, I just thought, well, this will be the rest of my life. There's no need to take a bunch of pictures or document it, and besides, pictures aren't cool, and it makes the talent feel invaded upon. But if anything I could say about all of this, it's like people are really quick to accept anything. Doesn't matter for you. Nobody's going to stick up for you and go, oh, he deserves a clean, decent place to live. People will let you live in the street homeless, and I did for a while, when you're sick. And especially when you have something, a neurological disease like I have, which you can't see. A good analogy for me was if I had both my legs cut off and missing, one of my arms, or both my arms. That's how debilitated I am, with trigeminal neuralgia. It's epic and stunning and debilitating and devastating. But to get anyone to understand that, and then that's another thing I want to call attention to is, you know, this disease and what it's like. And so there's a lot of stuff here, you know. And like I said, the marketing in the music business was so ugly. People are so quick to like not recognize or acknowledge your talents when you're around them, and they're quick to try to use your talent to make them, as a producer, that was my job, to make other people's talents seem epic when most of the time they weren't. But they're really quick to say, no, I'm the star, you're the person turning the knobs, when, you know, most of the good stuff that came out of them came from turning that knob, you know, turning those knobs. And it's, as a producer, it's artistic and it's technical, you know, and you need a full command of every instrument and music itself, and then art and fashion. It's a whole thing. It's not just turning some knobs. Taste, you know, restraint, understanding of how everything ties together, so that I've been able to do this on my own without aid of anyone. And that's the other thing, you know, I mean, how can I cap it off? It was ugly. The bottom line is the marketing in the music business is ugly. And I didn't want any part of that. And, you know, one of the other things I've learned is in life you just have to put on blinders and have pay no attention to those around you. And in your early career, that's tough, because people are only too quick to tell you that you suck, and nobody's ever really quick to go, you know, okay, and this is one of my jobs as a producer, to go, you know, that wasn't really, and word it right, and go, hey, that wasn't really all that strong, but there were some great things about that, and let's bring out the great things, and over time we'll you know, cut off or trim off what isn't strong and support you that way. Most people just go, oh, this sucks, fuck you, quit. You know, God, I haven't had a hater in weeks. Every time I say that, I get a little email instantly. But YouTube's full of that too. You know, I think everybody who in the world doesn't want to be a rock star, who hasn't dreamed about walking onto a stage, holding their fist triumphantly in the air and rocking 100,000 people, you know, who hasn't? Everybody wants that. And a lot of times, you know, you just have to be such a self-contained unit within the music world and business, and just, if you know 100% that you have what it takes, and everybody thinks they do, it's so much about self-honesty. If you know 100% you have what it takes to make it, and you know, you have to put blinders onto the people around you and go towards, and do something I haven't been good at, which is finding people who will help you to realize your dream. It's rare to have anybody can do it themselves, and I think the tools exist today for a person like YouTube and the internet to market their own stuff and make a living at it. What I find is with artists that have the artistic talent, they don't have the technical talent to produce their own material or the technical knowledge to market it. And that's one thing I bring together neatly, is the marketing skills, the technical skills to produce and engineer, and the artistic skills and, dare I say, taste to, you know, improve upon epic classics a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time. So I've just been trying to tell my own story, and I feel like I failed, you know, but you can't say you failed really, because with YouTube I contact 40,000 people every day. I'm lucky if 400 of them, around 1%, will come, and out of that 1%, out of the 400, about 1% of those will leave a comment or a thumbs up. And my site's going on like 5,000 thumbs up now. So the whole thing is, the numbers are staggering and incredible. It's no wonder, you know. What I've found too is, don't pay any attention. Nobody I know in real life, except one person, and I don't really know her very well, has come by to support me on my site. And I think there's a lot of stuff behind that, you know, a whole lot of stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with me, and kind of does. But it's really people just saying I'm leading my life, and getting people to pay attention every single time where somebody has gone to my site and looked at something. They'll say something like, "Oh, I had no idea. That's amazing. I'm going to tune in from now on." You know, when I get strangers to go there, it's so common to have people. I told the guy at the corner store the other night. I said, "Hey man, I do music and videos. Check it out on the internet. You will like it. It's good." I've really have known him for a few years, and so I kind of get his sensibility. And he was on his computer and he was just looked shocked. "Oh no, well I can't." And I'm like, "Don't worry, nobody does, man. It's so typical." I go, "Thank God that there are strangers in the world that stop by every day and say they love what I'm doing," and like that. So the people you know probably in your music career won't be that useful to you to help you. And early on you need them, and you need to hear their feedback and listen. But at some time, I think it would have been more beneficial for me to just not only eliminate a lot of the people around me, musicians who saw themselves as competitors or realized that they didn't have the skill or the training or the knowledge you had, who always sort of had maybe not always something negative, but never anything positive to build you up. And that's kind of the way life is. It has to be, as musicians or art, it has to be about that person's trip, not them building you up. But conversely, what I found in the business is the people who build other people up are mega successful usually. They understand something. And the people who cut other people down constantly they never do go anywhere. It's the people who understand and appreciate every artist and go, "Oh, that's great." Well, they don't feel threatened. But most people feel threatened. And there's petty jealousies and bullshit, and that's kind of the way life works. You have to be, to some degree, it's impossible to say that you can approach the music business with an open mind and open heart. It kind of requires some selfish, self-obsessed, not narcissism, but same as you'd promote toothpaste. I'm not selling Larry or Bob's brand or Ted or Sally's brand of toothpaste. I'm selling mine. But I need to understand what's in there is what makes it good, and appreciate that, and even tell them that's a great product, but remain focused on promoting and selling my own, because they'll never do it for you. They just won't. It's not their job. So, that's kind of Music Biz 101. And the marketing was so ugly, and so much lying and backstabbing and jealousy and hatred. Just looking at it, I was like, I don't want to be any part of that. So, yeah, nobody's came in on a white horse and said, "Dude, you need a couple $100,000 to get yourself out of this pickle you're in. You're sick, you live alone, without aid of anyone, in a pretty horrible condition and environment." And that's okay with everyone. No problem. People will accept bullshit for you and your life, your whole life. It's up to me to stand up and go, "This is not okay." And if my family thinks it's okay, and they kind of do, and the people around me go, "Well, that's okay because that's you." They want to push you aside. You're sick. You're fuck you. And it's hard not to sound a little bitter. I'm not at all. It's just the way life works. But it's my job to push them away and go, no. I'm going to go toward people who do see who I am, want to help. I don't even want help. I just want people who respect and acknowledge and are willing to sort of, I wouldn't accept help, but willing to sort of go, I see your situation, and this is, quite a thing. So there's so much here, but yeah, with you too, I haven't had a hater in a while. I'm so surprised. And the haters are all about, I don't even pay attention. I don't know which songs have what thumbs down or whatever. But YouTube's all about, a lot of it's about selfish self-promotion, narcissism. Oh my God, the narcissism I see in some stuff is, and delusional people who don't understand what it takes. There's a lot of that on YouTube. There's a lot of fantastic people too, but there's a lot of people, of course, amateurs are jealous when they see and they want what you want, and if they can't have it, then you're sure as hell not going to get it, and they're going to show that with their little thumbs down. The good news is, out of my entire site and all the hits and all the thumbs up, like 5,000 thumbs up, less than 250 down, like 240 down, and I can trace 100 of those to 2 people who gave 30 thumbs down each. Just went through my playlist. So the thumbs really don't reflect the true nature of people. People are pretty good. I found the less involved they are with music or the music industry and just a person who likes music, they're more likely to give an honest opinion. And for me, I'm a music business professional musician and producer for life. I'm not out to get accolades or praise or and this is the point, or buttered up in some way or complimented. I know what's strong when I post it. I'm a professional. I'm not out for critiques. I'm a professional. I don't need critiques. I understand immediately what's strong and what isn't. I'm out to sell albums now, and so now I have to put I'm really broke, and now I have to pay money the kind of money I'll probably never see again in my life unless I start selling records, which I will. The numbers say I will invest that in buying the copyrights and publishing rights and this, that, and the other. So there's a lot there. I wish I could say something epic, or it's all cliche, I guess, but you have to believe in yourself and just not pay attention to anyone around you, and then that requires so much honesty and like the gift of self-awareness that most people don't have. There's a young girl on there, and she has one song I really like, the rest are really weak, and it's a stunning single, but she said in an interview, a little television interview she did, she was going to do music the rest of her life. She's like 17, and I'm like, honey, when you have, blown, a girl like that, at some point you'll have to blow the road crew and fuck the club manager to play there, and then sleep out in the back in a dumpster. It's like, let's see where you stand when you're 50 years old, At 17, I was certain, and I'm one of those people, I knew. And, most give it up and should give it up. I guess everything works out as fair as it can be. I'm not in any way, some of these you can sound like, oh, they're persecuting me. It's not that at all. It's just I'm sort of pointing out how of absolutely no help the people around you will be in obtaining a dream, and how you have to do it yourself, and how that requires a tremendous amount of honesty. If I had to do it again, I'd just do, I love music, but I'd probably focus on home, family, and be a scientist, only. But if I'd known that it was going to take me down this road, would I do it again? I don't know. I've thought of many times, as hard as my life has been, and in as much pain as I am sitting here talking alone in a horrible condition, and nobody cares. Nobody's coming in and say, hey, we'll help you take care of yourself. We'll pay for this or that. Come stay with it. No, it doesn't work that way. And I wouldn't want it to. But, would I change anything? There's a scene in Hoffa. Basically, one guy is burned nearly to death, and the priest comes. He's dying, and the priest says, there's still time, my son. Confess your sins before you die. And the guy can barely talk. He says, come here to the priest. The priest leans down, and the guy goes, fuck you, in his ear. I mean, as horrible as that sound, that kind of sums up me. I have some real strong ideas that I'm committed to, and I don't want to compromise, so, and won't. So that's kind of my life in a nutshell. It's better for me to, you know, lead in hell than serve in heaven, I guess. This fucking thing went nowhere. Peace out, motherfucker.